In the heart of winter, Socrates, the renowned philosopher, embarked on a solitary journey for meditation. This wasn't just any philosopher, but Socrates, whose ideas and theories had stirred the minds of many across the globe. A thinker of great depth, Socrates sought solitude and serenity atop a secluded mountain, away from the hustle and bustle of the world. A setting that was as tranquil as it was picturesque, with lofty peaks piercing the blue sky and a blanket of snow underfoot, reflecting the sun's gentle rays. Here, amid the stillness and the quiet, Socrates intended to delve deeper into the realm of thought, unimpeded by the distractions of civilization. It was to be a journey self-discovery, a quest for enlightenment, an expedition into the uncharted territories of the mind. But as fate would have it, the serene mountain setting was disrupted by an unexpected winter storm. Snowflakes as delicate as lace quickly turned into icy daggers driven by the ferocious wind. The once clear path was now shrouded in a veil of white, the visibility reduced to mere feet. Socrates, who had embarked on this journey in search of peace and solitude, was now stranded in the heart of an unforgiving storm. Out here, in the middle of this icy wilderness, there were no libraries, no lecture halls, no cozy fireplaces, only the harsh reality of nature, its most ruthless form. Socrates, so accustomed to the realm of thoughts and ideas, was suddenly thrust into a very real, very physical battle for survival. As the storm raged, Socrates was left with no choice but to confront the icy wilderness. This was no longer just a quest for enlightenment, it was now a struggle for existence, a test of endurance and resilience. Socrates' journey had taken an unexpected turn, and the storm was just the beginning. The first enemy that Socrates had to face was the bitter cold. Upon storm's emergence, the once tranquil mountain turned into a formidable foe. The frost, gnawing at Socrates' bones, served as a chilling memento of the life-or-death struggle looming ahead. Amidst this merciless foe, Socrates found himself in a race against time, against the encroaching frostbite, and against the looming threat of hypothermia. The biting cold was an implacable adversary, one that could not be reasoned or philosophized with. It was a harsh, palpable reality that questioned Socrates' very existence. To fight this off, Socrates had to rely on more than just intellect. He had to invoke his primal instincts, his inherent human capacity to innovate, adapt, and survive. His first mission, thus, was to ignite a fire, a fundamental element in the fight for warmth. Fire, an emblem of life and warmth, has been mankind's ally since the dawn of civilization, provides not only warmth, but also a means to cook food, purify water, and ward off predators. For Socrates, it was a lifeline, a source of solace against the harsh, relentless cold. However, a fire in such conditions was a daunting challenge. Socrates had to tackle the task of finding dry tinder and kindling amidst the snow-laden landscape. With scarce resources at hand, he had to rely on his inventiveness and persistence. He small, dry twigs and branches, safeguarded them from the snow and applied friction to initiate a spark. Every tiny flame that came to life signified a victory, a tribute to Socrates' resilience and resolve. It was a survival waltz, a fragile balance between life and demise. Each flame that grew stronger signified a step towards warmth, towards survival. Despite the freezing wind and snow, Socrates, with sheer determination, managed to kindle a fire, a beacon of hope in the heart of the storm. Against all odds, Socrates had prevailed over the first foe, demonstrating his resilience in the face of tribulations. His struggle for warmth was a testament to the invincible human spirit's ability to strive, adapt, and endure. With the fire now providing some warmth, Socrates turned his attention to the next hurdle, clothing. As storm raged outside, Socrates found himself in a battle against the elements. The biting cold was relentless, and it became clear that the warmth from the fire would not be enough. He needed to conserve body heat, and his current attire was woefully inadequate for the task. Socrates was not one to admit defeat easily, though. He was a thinker, a problem solver. He looked around, his mind whirring with possibilities. In the sparsity of his surroundings, he found opportunity. In the absence of traditional clothing, he had to consider what was available. a torn sack that once held his provisions, dried grass from the cave floor, even the bark of the cave's interior. Each item was inspected, its potential evaluated. Socrates' mind, trained to dissect complex theories, was now focused on a more primal problem: survival. Though was sturdy, with a rough texture that could trap air, providing an insulating layer. The dried grass, while brittle, could be bundled together for additional insulation. The bark was rigid, but it could be softened by the fire and molded to his body. With meticulous care, Socrates set to work. He lined the sack with the grass, creating a makeshift coat. The bark was fashioned into a crude hat, its stiffness providing a barrier against the cold. It was a far cry from the comfort of his usual attire, but it was functional. And in the face of nature's wrath, functionality was king. Each piece of his makeshift ensemble was a testament to Socrates' resourcefulness. His situation was dire, but he refused to succumb to despair. He embraced his circumstances, using his intellect to adapt and overcome. Socrates, using all his wit, was not just surviving but outwitting the storm. Just when it seemed like Socrates was gaining the upper hand, a new challenge arose: falling into a frozen lake. In the heart of winter, concealed beneath a deceptive blanket of untouched snow, was a trap that could ensnare even the most alert wanderer. As Socrates ventured across the bleak landscape, the firm ground beneath his feet abruptly collapsed. With a strangled gasp, Socrates plummeted into the frosty chasm, the world above gradually blurring into the distance. This wasn't an ordinary pond or river. It was a lake, its surface frozen solid, camouflaging the deep, icy water below. Socrates was ensnared. The bone-piercing cold began to invade his body. The cold wasn't just external, it was infiltrating him, threatening to freeze his life essence. For a fleeting moment clouded his thoughts. But Socrates was no novice to hardship. He understood that panic would only hasten his demise. So he fought against the numbing cold, fought against the weight of his waterlogged clothing, fought against the gravitational pull of the icy depths beckoning him downwards. Each stroke was a struggle, each gasp a triumph. The cold was unyielding, a ruthless foe, but Socrates was more resolute. With sheer determination, he battled, pushed, clawed his way back to the surface, despite his body's protests and the desperate pleas of his lungs for air. And then, with a final surge of energy, he broke free, gasping, shivering, but alive. The ominous threat of hypothermia was imminent. Socrates knew he needed to seek warmth urgently. He had already combated the storm, the biting cold, the absence of warm clothing. Now, a race against time was unfolding, a race for survival. Once more, Socrates faced the grim reaper, but he was far from conceding defeat. The frozen lake was indeed a formidable adversary, but Socrates wasn't done fighting. His journey, his battle, his saga was far from its conclusion. Against all odds, Socrates survived the icy water ordeal. What a journey it has been, teetering on the edge of survival. However, in the heart of adversity, Socrates found a way to persist. His was not merely a result of his physical endurance, but was deeply rooted in his mental strength and philosophical outlook. Understanding that the body could only take him so far, he realized that the rest of the journey was to be traversed mentally. He wielded resourcefulness like a well-honed blade, converting every obstacle into an opportunity. Snow around him was not just an adversary to him, but a tool to preserve his food, hydrate himself, and insulate his makeshift shelter. The storm, while intimidating, provided him with the gift of firewood, readily available and scattered by the wind. Socrates' determination was unwavering. He accepted the storm as a natural occurrence, not a personal attack. Instead of fighting it, he learned to cooperate with it. He learned to modify his clothing, layering and adjusting it to better suit the harsh conditions. He utilized his knowledge and resources to keep himself warm and dry. The icy water incident bore witness to his will to survive. He did not let the shock of the cold water overpower him. Instead, he used it to propel himself forward, to battle for survival with every breath he took. This journey was not just about surviving a winter storm on a mountain. It was about the lessons learned, the wisdom gathered, and the strength discovered within oneself. Socrates learned that survival isn't just about the physical, it's also about the mind, the will, and the heart. In the face of adversity, Socrates didn't just survive, he thrived, emerging from the storm with newfound wisdom and resilience.